John's.
Are you sure it was Papa John's? Did he not want anything else?
It's happy to be Papa John's. Papa John ain't there anymore.
Ah, damn. Can't really blame
Alright,
you.
what are you doing? What are you doing over there, Bane?
I don't know. What are you doing?
Waiting.
I'm watching. And waiting. Commiserating!
Alright, I see what's going on here now.
What's going on here?
Upset. I see the stream.
No, you don't. You don't see nothing. Over.
I'm not going to ask why, because I'm assuming the reason will make itself clear at some point.
No. Why are you cheesing me twice? How dare you? Also, congrats on first, Yeti. Also, there is no reason. I'm just doing this. Doc, congrats on threeth.
Cheesed to meet you.
Why is the cheese inside of my helmet? Why do we have that ability inside this thing? I didn't ask for this technology.
Into a cup?
What?
The cheese.
Are you talking into a cup?
No. It's a metal can.
The metal can be a cup.
It can be a cup. I can put water in it. It's not gonna taste good because it's not clean. There. Second cheese.
Disinfect to protect.
I don't know why we have multiple cheeses inside this helmet and why they're deployable to my face. But I guess this is the world we live in now.
The helmet has cheese producing capabilities.
I don't like it. Everything else is fine.
Surprise third cheese.
It's just the cheese producing capabilities. No, don't do it, Mordred.
Where does it get the milk from?
It. I'm taking off the helmet. Welcome everyone.
Emoji Sam Cheese.
Yeah. To today's session of Adventure Fair.
I think the cheese is blocking her speech.
Oh, sorry. Adventures in Farris. I
Farris.
am your lovely hostess, Sammy. And here are some fucking people. I don't know.
Are you okay today?
A little bit. I got cheese twice. It wasn't great.
3 times, actually.
3 times. So the fuck are you people? And who's gonna be second?
I am the doctor, and I made way too much pasta.
Mikey, congrats on second.
I'm playing Octo. Oh, okay. Sorry, I realized that I was taking
Good.
Oh yeah, no, I'm playing Octo the Kobold Barbarian Bard. Pro-Go.
It's KiryuMakoto, and I'm currently being a glizzy gladiator at the moment, so I may be quiet for a little bit. I'm sorry.
Hey, yo.
But it's fried glizzy, bro, with fucking cheese and bacon. They're delicious. I didn't have any onions.
I just had
They're
2
fried?
glizzies and 2 brats.
Damn.
I've never had a fried one before.
They didn't have nothing on them, not even bread. They were with my rice.
Ooh, that's still good.
It was great.
The
Wait,
glizzies
Doc,
are
you've
the
never
brat-
had fried glizzy?
On my way.
What?
I don't want fried glizzy.
I've never had it either.
What?
I've had boiled and grilled.
Alright, everyone to
And-
Crow's house, let's go.
Come on, everybody!
Alright, who's next?
Quick, Crow, dock yourself.
Wait, what?
Quick, dock
No,
yourself,
shut
I'm
up.
coming.
Alright, here you go.
I am Yeti, I'm the IT VTuber. I'm currently playing Urgai the Tortoise Monk.
Currently.
I am playing Urgai the Tortoise Monk. Eeny, meeny, miny, Mordred.
Is there something going to happen to the monk?
This is what
The
we
way
call,
things been.
this is what we in the business call foreshadowing.
This is what we call predictive text.
I need some AI generation over here. No, I'm joking. No AI generation.
This whole
I am
campaign is AI
Mordred
generated.
Cannon. I am playing Alina, the variant human rogue warlock.
And last but not least, we got some person next to me.
Not yet a VTuber.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, gee, thanks.
Don't give Mikey a reason.
Last but not least,
I'm waiting for that 13th reason today.
Oh no!
but not for the self unalive, for murder.
oh, I can give you some more reasons for Mordor. Let's do it.
Mikey, just wait until we get banana pudding at least to go to jail.
Don't even talk to me about banana pudding right now.
No, no.
Damn,
What
the
a
trauma.
trauma.
Alright, so, last one.
What
Mikey.
happened to the banana pudding?
Hi everyone, I'm Cosmos Keeper, aka Karen, and I play Caress, the Aarakocra Druid. I almost said Chicken, the Aarakocra Druid. Jesus Christ!
Chicken, the chicken druid.
We haven't even made chicken jokes that much recently.
I know, right?
I'm on half a brain cell.
Oh, you have
The
it?
other half's on rage.
I didn't know who had it. Nice. Thank you, Mikey, for finding it.
I'm the orange cat that caught the brain cell today.
Damn.
Garfield?
It's not Mondays.
What do you mean it's not
I'm eating
Mondays?
pasta.
It's Tuesday. The two-day. It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday, my guy.
How does that correlate with me being an orange cat?
Because it's not Monday. It's
What
not
does...
Lasagna Day.
Oh.
Growfield.
Ah, poor John. And I am Sammy, your TTRPG VTubing kitty cat. Yeah. And this is Adventures in Farris. There, I said the name. You can all clap.
That sound like ass claps. What the fuck?
Shh, shh, shh. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I
Y'all
totally
got talent.
clapped with my hands. That's what the screen is
Roll
for.
credits were done here, she said the title.
Goodbye, everybody!
Look,
Good session, GG.
I have to curse y'all for a second in case y'all have forgotten. Don't forget, Donkey fucked a dragon and Shrek and they had children.
Hey, that's
wait.
That's how I
Hold
was
on,
brought
hold
about.
on. Did you say and Shrek or in Shrek?
In Shrek.
Okay.
I definitely did hear and Shrek.
I heard and.
Well,
And
Get
the
your
dragon
ears
was a
checked.
princess.
and yeah, the dragon is a princess apparently.
Apparently. But if Donkey
I
can
mean,
do
if they're willing
so
to
can
swing,
I.
that's kind of cool.
Sorry, the reason I brought that up is because Shrek 5 is apparently going to be a thing next year.
Yeah.
Or in 2
Yeah.
years.
Oh,
some
God,
shit.
just let it in.
Oh god, no.
I just
We can't let anything in. Capitalism must win in the end.
I just found out yesterday that I still had a copy of Shrek the Third.
Probably goes for a lot these days, honestly.
I gave it away to the church.
Burn it.
Oh.
I did. I sent it to church.
Just kidding.
Send it to the church and they're gonna burn it.
It's gonna burn in there. Or either that or it'll burn the church. Either way, it's a win-win.
Something's burning.
Something's burning, and it's not me.
Yeah, it's
I
not
hope
me either. I have to...
Something happened.
I love
Anyways,
the bacon on the stove. The
So,
bacon's
If,
burning.
if I start burning, that means I stepped outside.
Anyways, who
Sorry.
remember what happened the last week that we had Adventures in Farris, which was last week?
Might be these chain wounds on Alina.
Right. We fought a bunch of devils and demons. Or one devil and some imps. I forget exactly.
And a couple closets.
We went to Alina's hometown.
Phrasing.
Huh?
Alinals.
Oh, Olimal.
Well, okay, my bad.
God, I do love when my
Fucking
adventures go
chain
Alino.
devil impersonated my dad.
Well, he's dead now.
He's dead now.
Did we... I know other stuff happened before. Oh, we finally left the goddamn church.
Yeah, you did. And you started adventuring northward and slightly westward.
We started adventuring in Farris.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost
I
like...
just imagine Alina dropping to one knee as the chain devil died.
You say died, more like evaporated.
Still,
It disappeared in a cloud of smoke as it fell.
Speaking of smoke, am I bugging or is this actual smoke effects on the screen right
There's
now?
actual smoke effects on the screen right now.
Okay, I thought I need to clean my glasses or some shit.
No,
Alright,
no,
thank you.
there's an actual effect that I put on the map. Like I can pause it. I can send it to a different layer. Like it's legit there.
Alright, cool. I thought my glasses were just fucked up.
Yeah, no, you're good. But yeah. What would everyone like to do now?
Get that thing off the screen.
What thing?
You know what you did.
What did I do?
I murdered the dog.
drop to one knee like I said.
Did we lose Sam?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, Sam, you're slacking on the bobs.
What am I talking about?
Hey, in dragon form, just loafs like a cat on the
Loaf.
bridge.
Cat loaf.
Dragon loaf.
Dragon loaf.
Dragon loaf, and then a smaller dragon comes over and also loafs on top of the bigger one.
The double
I was
loaf.
gonna say Octave was gonna stack the loaves.
You can stack on top of the loaf or in between the loaves.
I could. I don't have the dragon. Well, actually, my build is similar to the dragon.
A bit.
I live on top of the dragon with the dragon on top of me. The small dragon on top of me.
The cat dragon.
Meanwhile, I'm looked. Can someone might want to check on Alina? She looks a little shaken there.
Looks a little shaken.
I hope it doesn't know where I live.
This is a really dumb question, but I can't speak in dragon form, right?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, sweet.
I can speak Draconic.
Sweet! I still have vocals!
Well, I don't know.
Genuine- That was the most genuine excitement I've heard from Mikey, I think, ever.
Oh, that was beautiful.
So what would anyone like to do?
I apologize. Yoshi, wrong chat.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Hi, bye Yoshi.
Bye, Yoshi.
Well, I mean,
A
look,
wild
I just
dinosaur appears.
can't- I mean, is it alright if I just kind of sit in and listen?
You would have to mute yourself, but yes.
Cool.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. What would everyone like to do now?
I feel like this moment of silence signifies how unstable this group is.
I mean, Kay's just
I went
loafing.
to look over at Alina, Zoe, and Charles. Are you three all right?
Mommy?
I'll live.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah. Just mad I was fooled like that.
Joy will hug you. I knew I had a bad fucking feeling about this place.
Joy?
Luna.
To be fair,
Oh.
no one could really blame
I'll
you.
return the hug.
Anyone would be quick to see to hug someone that they thought was gone for this entire time. So the fault isn't yours.
Ness, thank you for nutting in my ear.
Not.
Who was it?
It wasn't me.
Mordred, thank you for nutting in my ear.
Not.
I was about to say, who else lol.
Okay, so Alina is being hugged by her daughter. Luna is saying she got bad vibes from this place. What are the rest of you doing?
I will say, perhaps we shouldn't linger.
I was gonna say, can I like look around to see if there's anything else suspicious in the immediate vicinity?
Roll a perception or an investigation check. Depending on what you roll, you get different information.
God damn it! I ain't
Wow.
seen shit, clearly.
It's the fog of war.
Yeah, you can't really make
Oh.
anything out through the fog. At least in this form, this high up off the ground. And
God!
Uragai, this fog seems to be fogging up your vision. It's very thick and moist.
Why do you have to put it like that?
Like what
I've never described fog as moist, but that's a first.
it really it can be.
I mean, it technically is. It's made out of water.
It's made out of water.
I know, it just like, it never feels wet, you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Anyways, Arlos, you notice
Yeah, I'm sorry.
of the general air vibe of the area is kind of dark, and yet also a little stagnant. And you're not sure exactly what you see, but you feel like you can identify that there are small grooves etched into the middle of the bridge. But you can't make it out from where you are.
Oh.
Also, there is a dragon slightly laying on top of
There's
them.
also a dragon slightly laying on top of it.
Now you yell out the K to see what those are.
You yell out to Kay as he's rubbing his eyes a bit.
Like, I guess the dragon transmission really takes it out of him.
It do be
I like
like that.
I like to think Kay just kind of like does the confused dog head tilt thing for like half a second and then goes, "Oh, right. Still a dragon."
It's just a little head tilt with the question mark that pops up.
And then just whoops. No. Kay, you're too large.
I have to change your size for you. I'm sorry. Octod and Isaac both fall to the ground. Okay, Octod, you're in two different places on my screen.
That's weird. I'm under K right now. Not like under, but like a space under.
Yeah, on my other screen, you were under Isaac. Not like under, but the space below.
That's weird.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, as I plop, it's still a perfect bread loaf.
With Isaac on your head.
Isaac on my head.
Also loafing.
Perfect bread loaf.
The triple loaf became a double loaf.
Unfortunate. Sad day, truly.
Yeah.
So, Octod kind of coming out of that pause stage, he's like, what's going on?
Win, thank you for nutting in my ear. That's another one for Big Nut Incorporated. Alright, so Arlos, you pointed out to Kay that there might be something there around. Mordred, thank you for nutting in my ear again. So, what would everyone like to do?
I would like to examine the markings on the ground.
Go ahead and roll me an Arcana check to recognize what it looks like.
Wow.
Damn!
So,
I knew you had it in you.
looking at the marking on the bridge, you see a square that each side extends outward from it to circle back around and form the other sides. And you recognize the symbol, but this can't just be the only one here. This is for something larger, and from the size of it, it's nearly covering the whole width of the bridge. If this is the very center of it, the expanse of whatever this is has to be huge. I'd like you to roll me another perception check with advantage. As you now know what you're looking for.
Well, son of a bitch! What the fuck?
And others can join in too as you point this out to them. Also with advantage.
What is it? Perception?
Perception.
Damn, Octod, let's go!
You all get advantage too.
I know my Arcana symbols, but perceiving shit, nah.
I can see through the nth dimension.
I'm glad one of us can. This fog of war is fucking me up. Holy
Alright.
shit.
Octod. I just stretched and posture check. Thank you. And hydrate. Yeah, thank you, Win. Everyone hydrate. And everyone but Mikey stretch. Mikey, you do the posture check though.
I'm already sitting up.
Good. Anyways, so Octod and Urugai, looking
Yes.
around, slightly away from the center of the bridge, you notice that there are a couple more markings, kind of like a circle, as it bends from both ends of the bridge around and kind of sinks into the water below. As trying to look through it, only Octod is able to see that there is in fact etchings in the water continuing the circle, and there's lines coming off of this circle as well, leading to other areas where more etchings and symbols are shown. As you point this out to Kay, you recognize this as the spell Planar Binding, cast at an extremely high level.
Holy shit.
And it ends up covering the whole town.
I relay this information.
Perhaps we should leave.
Meaning something is here, most likely.
What if I
Until you-
break the town?
I don't think that'll help this time.
Okay, you
Helped every other time.
you would know that breaking this seal would unleash whatever is being held within this town freely upon the world.
I'll relay that and be like, I, quite frankly, don't want to find out what's trapped here. And I don't want anyone else to find out either.
That's just some mumbo
I'll
jumbo.
get
I
up
say we break
swaying
it.
slightly without breaking the hug before steadying myself, my transformation dissipating.
Yep. You all watch as some light blue magic goes over Mordred's extremities that transformed with her, as it flashes away and you see the more natural form of Alina, still having the fox ears and her three tails swaying behind her.
No, if you don't want to break it, then what do we do? I don't think it's a good idea just to leave it.
Wait, let me do one last thing before we go.
You watch as Alina takes a quick moment to dust herself off before heading back in towards her home.
Luna, let me see that sword a moment.
Sure? It should be the same fucking one as yours, but like, it's kind of broken. Why do you want to see this piece of shit?
I never got to do anything for you before I died in your timeline, so I wanna make up for it at least a little.
You can watch as she wants to say something, looking at you, but kind of just closes her mouth and turns away as you hear in your head, sure, whatever. Whatever. As you can tell, she kind of tries to blow it off.
I'll pull out the rest of the mithril I have in my bag.
Yep. You have some remnant, little slack mithril. Not enough to really make anything more than what's already there, but it should be enough to repair this blade, especially a magical god-touched one.
I'll set to work on it.
Alright. You set yourself at the forge, hammering away, heating up the mithril, making sure the blade is ready to be worked on and repaired. As Luna kind of leans back against the far wall, kind of staring and letting her eyes wander around, Joy kind of finds a small corner of your old home. An old bed, small, covered by a little cloth. You recognize it as where you used to sleep when you were her size. She kind of just sits there, kind of taking in the little space that seems like it was made for her. And she looks around, a couple of the drawings on the wall that you left years ago. As you're working away at this sword, putting chunks of metal that have chipped away or rusted off back in place with newer material, Joy seems to have found a loose brick in the wall as she pulls it out, leaving a small hole in the wall and holding a small kind of like shelf or keepsake, as the backside of the brick seems to be hollowed out with something inside. And as she notices that, she kind of tries to dump everything out, and onto your childhood bed, you see a golden locket, as well as a note and a small pouch. And being the curious child she is, she puts on the necklace, enamored by it, kind of toying with the locket, not really. Being the smart child she is, she hasn't really seen one of these, so she's not too sure on how to work it. Could you recognize the locket? It's familiar to you. Recognize one very similar to one your dad used to wear. Kept under his shirt at all times, but always there. Every now and then you'd watch him pull it out and look at what's inside, then put it back away. As memories of you and your father come back to you, slowly flooding in. As you reach the end of repairing the sword. It's not the cleanest. Smithing wasn't your specialty. That was always your father's. But it's repaired, it's usable, and the magic should still be there. Aktad, out by the bridge, you start to hear some whispers. A little bit of laughter off in the distance, coming closer, and seeming to swiftly run past you, behind your back. Sound of children's laughter. What would you like to do? Aktad? Is Doc still here?
Doc is muted.
Dr.
Sorry, I was eating spaghetti.
How dare you eat spaghetti?
Okay, just give me a brief. What was the last thing said? I'm sorry. I apologize. As
You
folks
hear
start to get.
laughter from starting out at a distance, but then quickly closing in and passing behind you, heading off towards Alina's home, and then past where Zell is, and around the corner.
Oh shit! The ghost of Christmas past is back.
Do you turn to see it?
I will turn to look at it. I will prepare myself.
As you turn, the world kind of brightens up. The town looks young, lively. There's people walking around, lots of dwarves, a few humans, and a couple children playing in the street as you see people going about their day. And you hear the similar laughter coming from a distance. Over running down the stairs to your left, you see 3 small children. All 3 human. 2 young girls and a boy. As the 2 girls seem to be running away from the boy, who's chasing after them, smiles on all their faces. 2 of them you don't recognize, but one of the little girls, she looks pretty similar to Joy. In fact, the little boy kind of also looks like Joy, but it's a little harder to recognize. You watch as their fun and activities run right across the bridge as the 2 girls are being chased by this boy, running up past the house and around the corner. And as they stop, stuck behind in a dead end, you watch as the boy gets cocky, opens up his stance, doing like a little cowboy walk towards them, kind of threatening them, pulling out his hand from a holster. You see his fingers become a little pretend finger pistol as he pretends to shoot one of them. The young girl who looks like Joy kind of falling over in a mock death, just super exaggerated. All of them laughing, but also dramatically tearing up at this child's death. Like, oh dee, oh me, oh my, ah. And you watch from the building that they just passed, you watch as a dragonborn with purple scales start walking towards the young boy and placing a hand on his shoulder. We're asking, what's with all the noise? Oh, I see you and your friends are playing again, Alina. Why don't you come inside? I just finished dinner. You two should also head home. I'm sure your parents will be worried. Plus, it seems to be getting dark. Also, Diana, Hector, if you need, feel free to stop inside. We have plenty of food to go around. As you see the young girl get up off the ground and go towards the Dragonborn, you see her wave at the 2 other kids as they wave at her and run past, saying something about seeing you again tomorrow. And the Dragonborn and the small girl start walking back as your vision starts to fade and fog, and you're here, back on the bridge. Your friends are all still around you. Alina's still in her home working on whatever it is she's doing.
I turn around towards Alina and go, who's Hector?
Alina, from the anvil, from the seat behind the anvil that you're working on, you hear Akdad say something about someone named Hector, and it sounds familiar. You think you know someone named Hector, but something doesn't want to remember. It's there, but it's not. You can't reach it. You're having trouble recalling, and in fact, it even hurts your head a little bit.
I'll grip my head.
What about a purple dragonborn? They may or may not be related to Spyro.
Not related to Spyro.
Thank you for saving me, Spyro.
They have a tiny little companion named Sparks.
There was no dragonfly there. It was just the purple dragonborn.
This time.
And there was another child. I immediately forgot their name. I'm sorry.
Diana.
That Diana. Like that song from Jackson Michaels' best song, Dirty Diana.
Oh my god.
Octod, take a rest. You're a little tired.
I'm gonna go sleep right here.
Loaf.
I'm tired. I took a nap.
I'm taking a nap right here.
Loafs.
Goes back to loaf mode.
As it goes in your head again. Loaf.
Great things, Octod, and I want to fucking listen to that song.
There's a version of it by another band that I really like. But the original's really good too. I'll send you the other version later if I can remember the name of the band.
Appreciate
Shaman. Something Shaman, I can't remember.
Shaman King.
Mm-mm.
Dinosaur
No.
King is what you wanna be, yeah.
Oh, I found it.
Well, that was fast.
I'll stand up. The Dragonborn was my father. The others sound familiar, but it's like something's keeping the memories locked away.
Dovahkiin?
I don't know the words. I don't know Draconic.
Was your father related to Spyro? I cannot look at Spyro the same way anymore. There you go, Chris. Sent it to you.
Appreciate you.
I try to remember the other two and all I get is a sharp pain.
There must be some sort of psych lock on your mind. Or a seal of some kind, which is basically the same idea to me.
Thank you for the cheese, Mikey.
Get cheese, Fortnite dances away.
Yeah.
Victory Royale with cheese.
T poses into the distance.
I don't know. Octod, why are you doing a ghost voice?
I don't know, it's just the mood I'm in.
Well, stop it.
What? Why am I not allowed to be what I want to be?
You feel smack in your brain, not on your brain, but like in your mind. Like you feel an imaginary you being smacked.
God forbid the comic relief be funny.
God forbid the
Psionics,
comic relief also be funny.
That's it, I'm gonna comic relief.
I'm gonna
What do you
comic relief
mean by
myself.
that? I'm concerned.
So,
Anyway, yeah, I saw a vision of the past You were playing with two kids, and your dad was there. I think the two kids were homeless.
He legitimately said your parents must be worried.
I was about to say, didn't he say something about them having parents?
Yeah, but hey, I forgot. I'm sticking with it. They looked like they were homeless. They looked like dirty bilge rats.
Well, that was rude.
You don't know what I saw.
All right. Then you could have explained it a little better.
Well, they wore brand new clothes, which means they definitely stole them.
Fucking damn it.
Mommy? Hey, I found something. Sorry, my throat's a little sore. It's probably from all the soot from the furnace. Or you know, some shit like that. Right, Luna?
What did she just say?
Luna taught me.
Luna, be a better
Bravo.
influence on your big sister.
The fuck I did?
Luna, you gotta be a better influence on your big sister.
Fuck that noise.
Or guy just does the teacher, you know, the chop in the back of the head, not like the painful one, like the
Like,
The
yeah,
dump.
just like the
just
smack. Ow.
oh.
The fuck, turtle?
Hmm?
The hell you smacked me for?
I didn't smack you.
Mm,
I do believe that was more of a chop.
it's all in the mind.
Clearly, Luna doesn't have the chops for
All
this.
in the mind.
Good job.
You say thank you.
What references we're making today?
Yeah.
Rabba the Rapper is so good.
Step
I've
on
never
the
played it.
gas. I haven't either.
Me
The
either.
only thing I know about it is the stupid meme with Donald Duck. Not
I
Donald
feel like I know what you're talking about.
Daffy Duck.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
I feel like I know, but I'm not sure.
I know which one it is, yeah.
Why
Well,
not?
I would hope so.
Anyways,
I found.
Alina, is there anything you'd like to do?
I'll stand up and return the sword to Luna. It's nothing compared to what professional blacksmiths can do, but it should work a lot better.
Thanks. Sorry I've been kind of testy with you. Alright, enough of that. I'm gonna wait outside. And she kind of abruptly walks out, sheathing her sword in a makeshift scabbard that she kind of has for it. Hey, Mommy, how do you open this?
I'll smile and walk over to Joy.
When you walk over to Joy, she kind of holds up the locket towards you and like, how do you open this? Still wrapped around her neck.
I'll gently take hold of it and open it for her.
Alright. You click the top of it, opening up the front part of the locket, revealing two pictures inside. One on the cover, the other inside the actual main part of the locket. There's a small sapphire, bright blue, that's held in front of the picture inside the locket. as you look behind the jewel, the picture that you see is one of your father and you, closely hugging, wide open smiles, having the happiest time. To the left of that, on the back of the cover, you see a much older picture. A picture of another Dragonborn. Thinner, more feminine looking. She seems to have darker scales, much darker than your father's. As you see at the bottom of the picture, the name Cinder, spelled with a heart above the eye. Actually, there would be no I. It's C-Y. Signed with a heart after the little inflection at the end of the R. Joy's kind of looking at it with you. Was like, "Who's that, mommy?" Is that you? I can't seem to get my voice back yet.
I always wondered what he had in here. Yeah, it's me and your grandfather when I was around your age.
The small sapphire looks like it can... It's just loosely held in there. Kind of like jingling around. And almost falls out when you open it. As well as there being a note next to Joy.
I'll pick up the note, being careful with the jewel.
Yep. The jewel kind of falls into your palm, and as you hold it up, it kind of matches the color in Joy's eyes. But you pick up the note, and do you open it?
Yes.
Okay, roll dexterity. I'm joking. You open up the note to see a handwritten letter addressed to you, seeming to say, "Dear Alina, I don't know if you'll ever get the chance to read this. I hope one day you do. I hope it finds you well. I wish I can be there to take care of you, to help you when you want. I wish I could stick around. But my time has already come, as did many others like me. So I want you to live your happiest life, free of pain and sorrow. I want you to take care of that child that you have. Treat them well. And please, show them nothing but happiness. I will always be with you in your heart. Please, take this with you. I will love you forever and always. Your dearest father, Spy.
I'll tear up partway through it.
As you read it, you can see some of your tears kind of drip down to the bottom corner of the note. Not smudging anything, but just barely getting on the paper. Feelings of the memories that you shared with him, they all come back to you. Even if the direct memories don't. You know he loved you. He cared for you. And he wished he could be here for you. Show you everything you needed to know, or wanted to know. Mommy? Is everything alright?
Yeah. Just a message I needed to read after all this time.
You remember your father was a good man. Fortunately, the life of a Dragonborn isn't as long as a human's. And so, he passed away before being able to meet his granddaughter. His first one, anyways. But you know he would have loved her too. Just as much, if not more, than how much love he put into you. What are the rest of you
I'll
doing?
tell you more about him later. For now we should get out of here before more trouble arrives.
What are the rest of you doing in the meantime?
I am still currently loafing.
So is Isaac. What about everyone else?
Kay most likely would have wandered a little way this way,
Mm-hmm.
just to look around.
I will be talking to. I will mention this. So, what is Charlie and Zafira like in the future?
Dopey, lovey couple. Kind of sickening if you ask me. A little bit
No
much.
surprise there.
Charlie's always been a bit too stuck up, and Zeffy is always free-spirited, but they're good to each other. Kind of wish Fuck, what's taking them so long?
This is where she grew up.
Yeah, I get that, but like, I had to leave my home too. I don't get the big deal about.
Well, I mean, technically, this is your home.
I don't remember it. It's not my home. Not where I grew up. Though, kind of wish I got to see it. Looks interesting, at least. Also, why does no one live here? This town is still standing. Sure, there's some burn marks, but come on. Plenty of houses.
I have a feeling that we are not alone.
As you say that, you hear a rumbling roar coming from underneath the earth. A little distance
We should
away.
leave. Most of us are in no condition to fight more foes.
Right. The last one's pretty tough as it is. Mom, you and Sissy's better get out of here. We gotta get going. Now.
Excuse me, young Birdman.
Young Birdman.
Young
It's
bird
great.
man.
I believe we should be off.
Wait, how far apart, technically, are we?
About
25 feet.
25 feet. Which is about 20
As
feet.
long... I was about to say, you might have to speak up. He's not exactly paying attention.
Excuse me, we need to leave.
Very, like, he whips around and is like, oh shit, yeah.
Excuse me, chicken.
I will literally push you off of this bridge, turtle.
Just slowly getting ruder and ruder.
I mean, it gets your attention faster, doesn't it?
He just walks by Octod and scoops up Isaac. Gently, of course.
Do we
Octad,
have to bring the wizard?
the warm little lizard that was on top of your head is no longer there.
My hat!
We're using them as a hat. Good choice.
I was gonna say,
No,
what are
they
you?
applied themselves as a hat.
Hey, that's a good fashion statement, though.
Scales do fit me nicely.
True.
Alright. So you all gather yourselves and a couple things of whatever you
You
got.
said there was a pouch with the stuff too, so I'll gather the pouch and put the jewel in a secure pocket of my bag, letting Joy wear the locket.
Yep. You place it in a pocket along your chest, one of the smaller ones. As you also pocket the small pouch that was left there. Doesn't seem to weigh much, but does seem to be something inside. As you all rush out of town, and you barely make it out as a dark cloud seems to be emanating from the center of town and slowly reaches out, stopping right along the edges of the barrier, keeping whatever.
I'll look back one last time toward the cloud.
You watch as you get the last glimpse of your home before it's engulfed by the dark cloud. Whatever is in this town, it's trapped for now. Who knows if or when it'll break free. as you continue on your path down the road.
Well, that's bloody ominous.
So, having come from your hometown of roughly right, let's say, we'll mark this in red, Kaya, about right here.
Phone died mid-explanation.
Whoops.
Oh, thank you for saying that, actually.
Yeah.
Gotta charge my phone.
So,
About the town and the cloud.
yep. Oh. As you watch back towards your home, you get a small glimpse of it before it gets encompassed by the dark cloud that is only stopped by the edge of the barrier before encompassing everything within it. So, leaving from your town.
I'll come back, Dad. I swear. I'll set this town free one day so you all can rest easy.
And leaving your hometown, which, if you had to triangulate yourselves, is roughly right here on the map, where would you like to continue heading? Would you like to head towards the nearest livable town? Or would you like to continue trekking through the wilderness? Trying to see whether or not there's a way to make it there to your destination faster.
Well, to be fair, what are our supplies looking like?
They're looking kind of low. You're able to fend for yourself for the most part, but overall, everything else is kind of starting to run dry.
So we should probably go to the nearest town and restock on food and stuff.
At the very least.
Well, that's my vote.
I believe we should restock.
Restock on what? I feel like we haven't used anything.
Well, Sammy just said our supplies were low for food and stuff. Like, we can hunt for food if we really want to, but
I'm deaf today.
We've noticed.
Sorry, brother.
The 5Gs.
they're
Yeah,
powerful
it's not the
today.
It's not the 5Gs, I'm just deaf today.
It's the same thing that was going on in Outlast 2 with the little radio signal.
Stupid Discord.
So,
That might be an actual 5G issue.
if you did want to go to the nearest town, the closest one to you that would keep you on the path towards where you're heading would be Epedi.
I'm a petty
Wait, what?
sometimes.
Epedi. E-P-E-D-I.
I'm glad we had the same joke.
To the northeast.
I say, I want to continue. I want to see my wife. I want to see my wife. I say we continue the most straightforward path and we hunt for the food that we need.
Are you a good hunter?
I don't know. Probably.
Bum, bum, bum.
I gotta get this little one to the mother.
It's true.
true,
Bum,
yeah.
bum.
The faster we get there, the faster she can be reunited.
And it feels so good.
Thank you.
Ah,
Alright, I guess we'll gamble and just go and continue on the path.
Continue down the path.
On the
Okay,
road to Viridian City.
that's not on this map, dipshit.
It is now.
That's
If
in the
we can
next country over.
It might be.
Listen, we gotta finish this campaign to move over to Kanto. We gotta unlock it in post game.
Alright, so you all continue through the wilderness. Okay.
I'm really glad everyone appreciated that joke.
More than you know.
So you want to take the straightest path towards Drakavir. What the fuck is this? Johto?
Yes, it is now.
So, someone give me a rough estimate of the path you want to take.
I'm trying to find a trophy on the map again. Where is it? I'm blind. There it is. Okay. Well, if I'm taking the helm here, I would say we go the most straightforward. Since this is on the way, I wouldn't mind stopping at Ellen or Eline, however you want to say it, Sam.
Elen.
Elen.
And at the same time, if we take early book thing.
Like I said, my idea is the most straightforward. So go to Elen, go to this town, go to Trackfear.
If we go to this town over here,
Note that heading this way would lead you through deeper wilderness, and that could be much more. That could make the journey much more difficult. And if it's more difficult, it could actually take longer than just taking the main roads.
Todd says no. Straight path is fastest because straight line.
God
Fastest
says
way.
the path is fastest.
I was about to say there's a joke there somewhere, and I just can't find it.
Move, I'm gay.
Todd is taking the straight and thick path.
Straight and thick.
God damn it.
Anyone else have any suggestions?
Opted for fuck's sake, some of us are injured here and we have children.
I have a child too. See?
Okay, so what if we go... Oh, where the fuck's the line thing?
The paintbrush
Yeah, the paintbrush.
on the left.
Listen,
Yep.
if you,
Right, so
if
what if we
you
go
go back the other
this
way, you
way
try.
third, and
Yeah, I
then we
know.
figure out that
We
way.
can't just keep pushing forward carelessly like this.
What's his name has proposed a second path.
What the fuck do you mean? What's his name? I've only known you for fucking months now.
I cannot remember your name.
Damn it.
It still does head through a bit of wilderness. However, you will hit a main road along the way. So if you want, that could get you to a town sooner that it's closer along the way than Epedi. But that will
I
take
say
you,
we hit the main road.
and that will take you to Turk.
That's fine. I'm okay with any of these options.
The
Not gonna
port-
lie, the wilderness option kind of not my favorite because again we do have
Killing
A
kids.
whole team of murderers? I'm sure we're fine.
Well,
A whole team of murderers is crazy.
Hey,
Am I wrong?
Let me put
Am
it
I
this-
wrong?
Let me put it this way for you. It's a port town. You can go fishing.
I have bigger priorities.
Getting
oh,
fish for
suddenly
baby.
he suddenly has bigger priority.
Yeah, it's on my head.
But you get a nice bit of drool on your snout.
Disgusting, but it's there.
Octod's got the dad spirit.
disgusting, but but we like it.
Okay, Picasso, I like it.
Anyone else?
Okay, Picasso.
Have a suggestion?
Listen, we have 2 proposed paths right now. Yeti proposed one, but he didn't draw on the map, so it's not official.
Mordred proposed one too. What?
If it's not all, Mordred also did propose one. If you don't draw on the map, I'm not counting it though.
It does help if you draw.
Oh, that's it. Oh, alright, how do I...
I agreed with you, Crow.
There is a brush
Oh.
tool.
Okay.
Top left.
Also, counterpoint, Mikey. I could fish in Drakvir.
I was saying we head here
It's true.
and take the sea path all the way to Drakvir.
Ah, you saw
One
the
big
secret
problem
mount-
about that.
You saw the secret mountain that was in the way, so you went around. Got it.
We don't have a boat. Unless we're going to commandeer a boat, that's not going to work.
I'm sure we could rent one with all the money that I pilfered from the one place.
That's fair.
We also have to be careful. We don't know who has spread misinformation about our group. Because we will
That
be
is-
passing by...
We are wanted after all.
Yes.
This is very
It's true.
This would be the shortest path.
sorry.
I mean, this would be the shortest path. It would cause us to interact with the least amount of people.
Yeti does propose a good proposition.
But we're banking on that place having a. I mean, it is like.
It is another port town.
It is,
If it
as,
is-
Okay.
yeah, it's a port town that has a sea route. So
Yeah.
It literally has a sea route connected to it. Same with Turk.
We
I'm
still
fine
need
with that.
supplies either way.
yes,
Yeah, and
we'll-
it's much shorter. It's like a shorter path.
we could get supplies, and we would need less supplies if we go to. I keep wanting to read that Aether, but I gotta sit up and see it. Amir.
I can get
That
down
would
with
be-
Yeti's plan. I'm okay with
It-
this.
The only problem is we don't know if they have supplies there. Necessarily. We also
It's
don't.
a port
also
town.
don't-
They probably have supplies coming in and out.
It's a port
True,
town.
true. Listen, just because I live on the coastline,
Like
literally
fish.
next to the beach, literally
Yeah.
5 minutes away from a port town, does not mean I know the intricacies of a port town.
You know what? That's fair.
Not everyone can be studied up on how villages work.
And if worst comes to worst, we can always
Also,
hop
Sam.
across the way.
True. I mean, at the very least, we could go from Amir to the town that's being blocked by all the other roads right now, which would
Also-
still cut some time for us.
Also, Sam, I'm banking Urgai knowing this information on the fact that he's been traveling.
Yes. You would know that, you would recognize that as a port town and that it would have supplies coming in and out constantly. Lots of traffic goes through there, business-wise. It is a good way to get business from Drakvir to other places.
I want to relay this to the rest of the party. It wouldn't be too hard to pay for a ferry over.
Yeah, but how's a ferry gonna get us over there? She can't carry us all.
No, a ferry is a type of boat.
Oh. I didn't know that.
So there's the regular kind of ferry that you know with the wings, similar to that of a pixie. But the ferry I'm talking about is one that brings something from one place to the other.
I like how you said the regular one is the ferry with the wings, so as if the boat one is the weird one. In this
I
instance, I
mean,
guess it would be.
World of Magic.
Yeah, I said I
One
guess
is
in
more
this
common than
instance.
the other.
But which one? Ferries are ferries, though.
Ferries, of course.
True. I agree. Let's go to the boat. I can also fish on the boat, maybe.
It's true.
true.
If we get a net, that'll be good too.
We might be able to make some money off it.
Do we really need any more money? Actually, you know what? He's got a point.
I mean, more money is good for us. We've got a bunch of children who need supplies along with ourselves.
So what I'm hearing is that everyone wants... Oh, not that.
Well,
No, that's fine because we didn't need the other 2 routes.
All right.
Those paths.
Someone's cooking onions.
Or that
I
path.
think
Someone get the surf music.
Alright.
okay, just suddenly manifest like an
Shades.
ocarina out of nowhere.
Oh, you see, in my head, I just imagine Kay in the Super Mario Sunshine outfit.
Kay and Urgai, you'd be able to recognize this as still taking about a week to actually trek through this.
Alina
wilderness.
pulls out a Wind Waker from the small pouch.
Look at that. We're all set.
You do realize it'll take about a week to get there, a little less if you're quick on it and know a couple ways to, keep travel time to a minimum. But
It'll take us.
it can get you there.
It'll take us about a week to get there. However, if we were to commandeer a boat, the ride there will be much faster than going by land.
It'll take you a week to get to Amir.
The port town. Not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it should cut the overall travel time.
I'm okay with
You
that.
have a point.
As long as we keep laying low. We don't need to draw any more attention to ourselves.
So is everyone in agreement?
Yep.
Aye, aye.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So you head out of Alina's home village, head in deeper into the wilderness on a path heading toward Amir. You spend a lot of time trekking through foresty areas. There's a couple instances of plains, some hilly areas that cause travel to become a little difficult, as well as food becoming a little scarce at times.
Well, I mean, I don't need to eat, so someone can have my portions.
I will still need everyone to roll survival,
Including
Right.
the kids.
except for the kids. Just all the players.
Except for the kids. Okay.
Damn!
There is no way.
He's rolling out of their mind today.
Jesus.
That is the second one today.
Oh.
What?
All right.
The way my dice just slid across the screen
Urgai
on that
and
one.
Octad, you both run into a bit of issue because you're used to traveling more along the roads than anything else. And Octad, you're more used to traveling in like rocky areas if you were gonna do any terrain, but this is more like woodsy, grassy kind of areas. So it's difficult for both of you as you don't have a direct path that's laid out for you to get there. But thanks to the others, they're able to help pick you up, help pick up your slack a little bit as, but by the end, it is a bit of a struggle as you're slowly traveling around the mountainside, nearing Amir. On the
Will we
last,
coming around the mountain?
and you camp for one more night. I just want to ask, what would all of you have liked to have done during these days of camp, or on this last day of camp?
I would teach the children how to cook food over an open fire.
No, you will not.
Indeed.
I'd have told Luna and Joy the stories I remember of my father.
He,
Feeling a little hurt by that statement, though.
he seemed like a nice guy. Kind of wish I could have met him.
Yep.
By the way, did Grandpa ever have anyone he was with?
According to a picture in the locket he did, but I don't know if I ever knew her.
him ever talking about her or mentioning her to you. Just that every now and then he would look into the locket, smile, close it, and put it away. Anyone else?
Yes. Throughout our travels, I would teach Zell how to use the dagger more, I guess.
Sure. You can help Zell with like movements and being able to use her dagger more effectively. As well as practicing a couple of your own skills that you're working on.
It's gonna be like Goku and Piccolo training Gohan for the Saiyans. I'm gonna use my Echo to help with that.
Yeah.
I like to imagine after like a couple days, me and Uganda over there get into a fight over like, why won't you let me cook? Teach the kids how to cook.
Because your cooking is awful.
What do you mean? Everyone loves my cooking.
I would look at the rest of the party. I would look at the rest of the party and go, shush. I would look at the rest of the party. Who here likes his cooking?
Guys.
I would like you to refresh your character sheet.
Guys, even when I mess up my cooking, people like it.
Octa, do you remember when you started that union?
Yeah, what about it?
And I had to bite the bullet in order to try to, or to sell that I was part of that entire group, so we wouldn't get captured.
Yeah, and you loved it.
No, I did not. I tried not to die. It was a fight for my life.
I know, it was, but I got us through that moment, so it's alright. Thankfully the guy died, we got out, everyone was fine.
Yeah, you did good on that part, but the cooking aspect, I hope I never have to do that again.
Well, don't worry, I'll cook for you.
No, that's
No.
He's saying the exact opposite.
You want Arlos to start cooking?
I'd rather cook than have to go through that again.
Well, I mean, I could still cook, and then you won't have to go through that whole thing with the guy. I mean, I don't think that he'll be coming back, because he's kind of dead, so...
Don't think you're hearing me. I don't want to have to eat that. That's my entire point.
Well, we left him behind at the place, so don't worry, you're not going to have to eat him.
No.
Arlos just hangs his head low.
Small lizard. He's referring to your cooking. He does not wish to eat it.
Oh, I mean, I don't have to cook every night. So that's fine. I could use a break every now and then. I understand. When cooking is so good, it ruins the taste of other people's food. So you know what? I appreciate the compliment. I'll still cook for you every now and then, though, so don't worry.
No, I'm pretty sure yours is the one that ruins the flavor of everything else.
But I'm sure there's someone out there who'll enjoy your cuisine. It's just not for me.
My bro and my wife enjoy my cooking.
Because
that's for sure.
They're kobolds. We are not.
I'm sorry, are you being racist right now?
I'm not a kobold.
Oh. And see, Joy's not a kobold.
I raise a finger. The soup was good.
See?
I mean, Isaac liked it. He took a bath in it, clearly.
Alright, well, I messed up the one time with Isaac, but that was a potion, that was not food.
No.
Okay. Would you mind telling me what you added to that soup?
The soup? If I remember correctly, there were some hooves and some chocolate.
Where did you get the chocolate?
I don't remember. I think I got it from my bag.
Oh no. Oh no. No. You mean the bag that your daughter
That explains
has been sitting
a lot.
Looks in the snack bag. Is my daughter in there?
Oh, that bag.
The snack pouch? No.
No. No, different snack bag that or a different bag you made me think of.
Bag of snacks, she is not.
No.
The snack
Then-
pouch specifically, no, she's not in that.
Okay. I think there was a little confusion for a second.
She has dug into it, but she is not in it or sitting in it.
Hey, my daughter's not food. She's a jelly bean.
It's not.
I mean, technically,
mind.
anyone can be food.
My daughter's not food.
Don't plan on it. Just saying, you never know.
I just imagine us finding her rummaging through it eventually.
Like, her entire upper, like, torso is just in the bag. Rummaging for snacks.
Anyway, so I'm gonna start cooking now.
Oh.
Kay and Uragai, what are you two doing?
I will cook.
Separately?
Yes.
I will patrol in a little area to make sure we are all safe.
Yeah, would I be able to search the surrounding area for things like herbs and berries?
Sure.
Gotta get those 11 herbs and spices.
However, with your survival check, you don't really find much. You get a couple weeds. And not the fun kind.
I look. It appears this forest is barren.
Okay, you look behind him, and you're just able to pinpoint different herbs and different things you can use to cook or use to heal medicine or anything. And he was just went through all of it, picked out a couple weeds, and just brought it. I was like, yeah, no, this forest is barren.
Can I have picked some behind him and just present him with, like, a couple bags worth of herbs and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh man, Uragai, look what I found.
Lovely. This would make a great. Hold on, what? I'm trying to remember what the word is.
I like to think that Kay has just presented him with 2 bags of, like, just herbs and berries and stuff. And he's looking at the...
If you can name some herbs and berries, you can have them. Within limit.
And I just like to think that he's looking at this turtle like he's senile.
Blueberry.
Wild blueberries, wild raspberries, wild thyme, what's it called? Creeping thyme? I don't remember.
Sure.
Let's say rosemary.
Rosemary.
Basil.
Basil.
Is basil a wild one though? Can you find basil in the wild?
Who cares? It is now.
Basil.
And mint.
Mint.
And I'll cut you off there. You get a small pouch of those and present them to Uragai.
Just write mixed herbs.
Mixed herbs and spices. 11 of them.
21 herbs and spices.
And berries.
And berries.
And berries.
These would be great for seasoning and tea ingredients.
Oh, I could use those in my cooking.
Arlos was shouting.
Well, don't worry. It's actually really good that I rolled a 1 in this instance.
Yeah.
No, because Octa does better the worse he rolls.
Oh. That's
In
weird.
terms,
Alright.
specifically for cooking, because in terms of kobold cooking, they like their food worse. So if I roll high, his food is really good for a kobold. But if I roll low, it's good for everyone else.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I've talked about this with Sam since the beginning.
Fair enough. I didn't remember any of that.
Therefore, Octod is about to make the most scrumptious meal this week.
I'd have opened the pouch by now too, by the way, Sam.
Yep. You saw. Sorry. Inside the pouch, you see a small ring, a couple of scales, and a tooth. The scales you recognize as some of your father's that have shedded over the years, but something to remember him by. An old ring he used to wear on his left hand that you remember. And the tooth was something you found as a child that you just didn't want to let go of and insisted that you keep. And you lost it one day, and you were never able to find it. Until now.
Surprised he actually kept this.
Yep. Alright.
Is there any way to tell what the tooth is from?
Roll me a nature check. You're not sure?
Almost a 19.
Yep. You're not quite sure. It's sharp. It's long. No animal you specifically know, but it's definitely a real tooth. You do know that, but you're just not sure what it came from.
Him.
Hmm.
I like to think just in any silence, baby Vara just starts making sounds.
If it gets too stuff, you should Baby Bar getting sounds and then
If it gets too quiet, she just starts screaming.
Hey Octid, do you have any idea what race or animal this came from?
Asks Octad of all people.
I'm smart. Also, I'm not too bad at nature, so I can do a little nature check here.
Well, it could be from a kobold, to be fair.
You size it up to him, put it next to his mouth. It's way too big. Way
Also,
too big.
Sam,
Yes.
I have a question. So, for the actually cooking part, would that go off of our current survival check, or would it be different from actually being in the woods?
You can roll a different survival check for being in the woods.
Alright.
Excuse me. The tooth does seem reptilian, though. Comparing it to his, it seems reptilian, but you're not sure what it could be from.
I did roll a 14 on nature to try to inspect the tooth.
Yes, that's what you get.
Okay, I just wasn't sure because it sounded like you were talking to Alina, not.
I realized
Alright,
I
gotcha.
was, but this is information you would have gotten. Like, you do recognize it as being reptilian, but it's much bigger than a kobold tooth.
Okay.
Hell could be from my old man for all I know.
Well, it's not for me, I can tell you that.
And Octad, you're also able to tell it's bigger than what would be in a dragonborn tooth or mouth.
It's too big for a dragon. Hold on. Okay, can you transform to a dragon real quick?
I mean, Are we in a big enough spot for me to do that?
You're outside.
Well, I just...
By the way,
Is there
I
enough
was going-
space?
Yes.
I
Okay,
was
just-
going to ask. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Uragai, you were asking.
Oh, I was going to ask if we had done a long rest.
You've done multiple.
I just want to
Didn't
check.
travel.
Supposed to have been like a week.
And you're about to do one more.
Yeah. But, alright, so. Okay, I need to compare this tool to your dragon form.
Alright. Stand back.
Takes a step back. Okay, you're good.
Just like a little butt wiggle with the finger cracks.
And he just poops into a dragon.
At the very least, we can compare to see if this is a dragon tooth.
Alright. So, putting it up to the red dragon's head, you can tell it's about the right size. That's something you can get. Roll me another nature check with advantage.
Alina or me or
Stand
both?
back. Octid takes like 2 steps back. Gets flattened anyway.
Just you, Octad.
Alright.
Okay, just lifts one of his clawed feet up and is like, sorry.
I gives like the little thumbs up.
With advantage,
Roll. Oh, with advantage. Alright, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Wow, it got worse.
alright, so it's definitely big enough to be dragon tooth. You're not sure if it is, or if it's not. It kind of looks
Can I
like
roll?
it might fit.
It could
can
be a
roll.
dragon.
You can roll, K. But you do not get advantage even though you do
Damn it.
are a dragon.
Well,
Can anyone roll?
Sure. Whoever's looking.
Check for it.
Alina, you can also roll.
God
Wow. Wow. The
damn.
Lord does
damn
not
it.
want us to know. Oh, wait, we got 3 6s in a row. We gotta stop the campaign here.
Fuck yeah, let's go. Celebrate. All the 6s.
Wait.
Yes, Alina.
It is a tooth from something.
Definitely a tooth of all time.
Oh my god, Joy, no! Joy!
Of course, Jordan, no.
That dinosaur tooth?
Sorry, oh what?
A dinosaur! Hold on.
What is it?
She reaches into her backpack that she's always had, pulls out a picture book, and shows you different pictures of different dinosaurs.
I thought she was gonna put out like a little toy dinosaur.
No.
Kay just leans his dragon head over to like look at the pictures of the dinosaurs and kind of looks back at the adults and is like, you know, she might have a point. As if he's not in dragon form.
Kay just squinting ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Arlos, looking in between Joy's book and the tooth and Kay's size, it's reptilian, definitely, and it's roughly the size of what Kay is now, but it's not a dragon tooth. You think Joy might be onto something?
You know, tiny but mighty might be right.
And looking at, and then Joy's continues like, it looks carnivorous too. It's a sharp pointy, like the
It's like it's some kind of sharp tooth.
like the Velocidrome.
Is it from Chomper's parents?
What's a chomper?
Octod looks at the picture book. He's like, "So these aren't dragons."
No.
No.
Here, she pulls on another picture book, one of dragons, and shows you the difference between the Velociraptor and the a dragon.
As if Kay
As
is
if
not
Kay
in
is
dragon
not even
form.
there.
I was gonna
Kay
say
sits
too. So
down, kind of offended.
I a joke to you.
Also, are
this is
you
what
did
a
you say
real dragon looks like.
Velociraptor?
Yes.
Isn't that from Monster Hunter?
Shut up. Shut up.
I wasn't gonna point it out. I was just gonna let Sam go with it. You would know we're not going to question that, Mordred. Just gonna accept. Okay, where does one find a dinosaur?
They're small picture books, Alina. They're like thin. I don't know. Mommy, do you know where we find dinosaurs? My book doesn't say. The obviously a children's picture book. She scrolls through it and sees something about Pangea. What's a Pangea? Can we go there?
We've never heard of Pangea before.
Wait, I went to look at Elena. Do you think he might have time traveled?
I mean, who's to say that dinosaurs just aren't, prevalent in this age? We have dragons.
Are you comparing me to a dinosaur? Kay just leans over Arlos.
But would Arlos understand what Kay is saying?
Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it.
Actually, Kay and Arlos, you both would understand that dragons in and of themselves are a rarity, even within this world.
I'm just saying anything is possible. Don't eat me, please.
Why the fuck would I eat you?
It's very high in the calories. Don't do it.
You just call me fat.
Yes.
Leans over Arlo, staring him in the eyes.
God damn it.
I'm
Yes.
slightly taller in this form. I have to lean down.
Slightly
It's only
taller.
polite.
You're about like 12 feet tall.
Why is everyone just looking at me like that?
Like twice his height.
Yeah, and it's only polite to lean down
And loaf.
and loaf.
Loaf.
Yes.
Kay's loafing around.
Hey, it's just turned into Charizard.
Oh my god.
I'm glad that both of you caught that reference immediately.
Good.
Isaac's just perched on Kay's head at this point. He's like, it's nice up here.
This feels right.
This is correct.
Anyway, maybe this town we're headed to or one of the other towns on our way will have a museum.
It is a port town. They're known for having museums, mostly about boats in the port.
How would you know that?
I don't know.
I come from a cave.
Okta just has weird knowledge he's picked up from, like, traveling.
You know,
You can read giant, that's true.
He's just taking whatever people say for word. Like if they told him something, he just believed it.
Oh no, the poor innocent thing. No.
They tell me about mermaids and how they're the most beautiful things. They're half fish, half kobold.
I mean, to be fair, they are quite good
Kobold.
looking.
New headcanon.
Trying to imagine a kobold mermaid.
New
I
headcanon
can't-
confirmed.
I can't
She's
do it.
beautiful.
Is that just a sea dragon?
No. It's the sea dragon leviathan from frickin' Subnautica. But
No.
smaller.
Oh, no.
But smaller.
Sea Dragon Leviathan, she sounds beautiful.
But anyways, does anyone else want to do something during this last day of camp?
Kumbaya, Fed Lord.
I can get the loot out. We can do that.
We've had quite the adventure, haven't we?
I am a bard, so.
Pass on the pesh.
Oh,
I went
Which-
to say to the group, we've had quite the adventure, haven't we?
I'll say.
I don't like how this conversation starts. He said one sentence and I'm upset already.
What's that?
I must agree. We also. This has been an excellent journey. I'm joking. He's not there. He's not actually there.
I had to think for a second, and then I saw Bob on the screen. Like, wait a second.
You see many Bobs on the screen.
Well, I'm
Isn't
only
Bob
looking at one right now.
technically always with us?
Hmm?
Isn't Bob technically always with us as long as I have his feather?
And also with you.
I'll jump in surprise at Bob's voice.
That was a joke. There was no Bob. Yet.
No jokes allowed. Everything must be serious. Anyway, about the Kobold Mermaid.
Alina over here had
once every
PTBD.
200 years.
Alina over here has PTBD.
Post-traumatic Bob disorder.
Oh, can never look at a chicken the same way ever again.
Amelia, what do you see
Well,
here?
An image of death and destruction. It's a
Oh
chicken.
god, they're multiplying, help.
Oh my god, why are there more Bobs?
Don't have to why, just accept.
And the fucking dog thing's back.
Welcome back to the hen house. Get that fucking dog away from me. I'm going over here. I like this dog better. Ow!
Charles just kind of stands over Octon and is like, what's wrong?
Get the no, Kim. Child, protect me.
I see a random yellow line on the map.
There's a thunder
Alright.
in my house.
I don't know how do I do
Why
it?
are you
How do I
running
get rid of it?
Jefferson?
Wait, where'd Jefferson go?
I put him on Doc. Or Octod. Isaac.
What is happening?
I'm just trying to get away from the weird dog.
What dog is he talking about? Is this dog visible for everyone, or
No.
is this just...
It's just on the
I
map.
can see
It's not
it.
actually there.
Oh.
Octad has gotten too much pesh.
I just imagine it shouting, "Get back here, you scaly bitch."
Get back here,
Damn.
scaly bitch.
No, I hate this dog. I can't kill it.
Suddenly has a giraffe neck.
Shut up.
I'm the only dad is constantly looking back at Alina and Arlos. Oh no, it disappeared.
Anyways, what is everyone doing?
I'm having a really bad trip right now is what I'm doing.
That's unfortunate.
I'm not going off.
Our host will smoke out the night.
Alright. Alright, let's just smoke Pesh. And I think that's where we're gonna call it for our break today.
Oh, let's say, damn.
No. Just our break. Just our break. So, hang tight, everyone. We'll be back very soon. And you'll
Scared me for a sec, lol.
No. Batman.
Batman.
We'll be back soon. We're just gonna go on a quick, 10-15 minute break at most. And we'll be back. Yee. See you in a bit. See you soon.
Make sure to visit the concession stand.
So you guys are allowed to be ghosts, but I can't be.
Hello, bitches! I said we're coming back in 3 and I never counted down. Anyways, we're back.
Starting off at 3.
Mikey, thank you for nutting in my ear. 3 what, wizard?
I don't even think it says wizard. I just think adding wizard to it makes it funnier.
Yeah.
3 nuts.
3 nuts, oh god.
Not.
Nut.
I don't know why, but it reminds me of the Family Guy episode with the count.
Nipple.
Okay,
And that's 3.
thank you. Thank you so much for nutting in my ears 3 times. You're so wonderful. I appreciate all of you. So, that was the end of the campaign. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming for coming in my ears. Alright, so having woken up and getting ready to end this trek through the wilderness, barely having any supplies left, you all wake up, gather your supplies, and head out around the mountain and towards the town.
Wahoo.
Wahoo! Wahoo! Alright, and that'll bring all of you to Amir. Welcome to the village, the
I found Bob.
port town of Amir.
Wow, it's pretty.
It is. The cities are bustling, despite the fact that there's no one there. Ignore that. With people either going from place to place, enjoying different amenities, or working. Some people are trying to actively sell different goods to different people. It seems like multiple traders are trying to interact with each other, trying to swap goods or currency. And you all arrive in town. What would you like to do?
Alright, I believe we should gather supplies and then find a seaworthy vessel.
Agreed. The entire purpose we came here.
You all say, covered in leaves and dirt.
But perhaps a bath would be nice.
Into the water.
Wait, Akla, no!
Okta just jumps off one of the ledges into the water and disturbs the trade of 2 guys who just happen to be in the middle of bargaining over some boats here. As you pop your head out, they start yelling at you like obscenities, almost intelligible from what you're aware of.
My head poking up like an alligator. I'd be upset if I could hear what they're saying. Anyway, I get out and join back to the group.
Okay.
All clean.
You do a doggy shake. By the way, you just jumped in there, right?
Yes.
Did you do anything beforehand?
No.
Okay. Roll me a dexterity saving throw. Okay. You notice, before hopping out of the water, that your bag despite the fact that it should be heavier, is lighter. So you turn around and see that Vara's in the water. So you pick her up and plop her back in your bag.
What are you doing out of your bag? Gently puts her back in the bag.
Plop.
Vara has been added to your inventory. Ba-na-na-na.
That checks out. That checks out for Alina. So,
I am a good
Octide took
father.
a brief bath. I am a
All
good
clean.
father.
I will go see if I can find a spa or bathhouse.
Right near you, you are able to spot a crab shop. But if you want to see if you can spot a bathhouse or some sort of inn or a place that can take you in, I would need a perception check or diplomacy check, depending on whether you want to look for it yourself or ask around town. I mean, persuasion. I'm sorry.
It's about to be like,
Sorry.
Sammy.
My first game was Pathfinder. I'm still used to it. Alright.
Anyway, I rolled a 17.
You notice that the Bob House is actually an inn. This place.
Perfect. I'll walk over.
Inside, you see it's a very open concept. Like the doors are held open, and there's natural light coming in as you see somebody behind a desk, kind of, or behind a counter, just like writing away at different notes. Hello.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Me and my party have just been through a long journey.
How many?
It's very.
How many and how long?
Let's see. I peer out the door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
3.
8, 9. 10 in total, including excluding me. So 11.
11. How many rooms are you going to need?
Oh, sorry. 12. I forgot one of the infants.
13. There's 2 infants.
Yes, there's 10 adults and 2 infants. No. There's 6 adults, 3 children, and 2 infants.
And a Jefferson and an Isaac.
Oh, right, I keep forgetting about them.
Well, they're also not on the board, so give me a moment to grab them.
Isaac is
So
just in Kay's vest again.
So 14 in total.
I just need a single number of how many rooms you're going to need, and for how long. Please.
Not long. We're just looking for a place to clean up.
Well, if you're looking for a place to clean up, there is another place you can head to within town that I'm sure you could find.
Would you be able to point me in the direction, please?
I'd be willing to point paid customers in the right direction. However, you do not seem to be that. So, if you are wasting my time, I would like to ask you to leave.
One of these.
I want to look at the state of the building.
Okay. What are you looking for exactly?
Just the overall state of the building.
Okay. General idea. It looks very clean, very well maintained, put together. kind of like it's wooden, kind of like a lighter wood, but it's all very sturdy. Possibly something like I don't know wood, but it's very open, very chill, very breathable. Kind of like if I were to describe it now, it's kind of like giving off a somewhat Polynesian vibe.
Gotcha. This building looks well maintained.
Like, yes, we have to keep it maintained. We don't want to have any incidents happen here, after all.
Incidents?
Yes.
Very well, I shall leave.
You could try persuading her into telling you where a bathhouse of sorts is, or something.
Alright. I will try persuasion.
Okay.
Well,
Please, sir, just leave. Stop wasting my time. As you can see, I am very busy.
I assume the building is almost empty, or is it full?
It's got some. It's like in between. It has definitely a fair number of tenants currently taking up rooms, but it's not completely full. There's still some vacancy.
I will walk out and rejoin the group. They were less than helpful.
Should I give it a try?
I mean, if you want.
Where are they at?
I will point him over this direction.
Hello.
Hello, yes. How may I help you?
As you can tell, I'm in need of a good place to stay, somewhere
How
I can
many
get cleaned up
rooms?
at. I'm sorry.
How many rooms do you need?
About 4.
4 rooms? And how many people are going to be staying in each room?
Roughly about 2 to 3 per room.
I need specific numbers, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, how many people do we have with us?
14 total.
14 people with us? I'm not counting, like, Isaac and Jefferson.
What about Vara and Luna? Not Luna, but Luna.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's fair. Listen, I have money, if that's what you're asking. It shouldn't really matter how many people are going to each room, right?
It does for our records. We need to keep a proper order of everything going on in this facility.
Let's just say roughly about 14 people.
14
Give or
people
take?
per room.
No, not per room. In total.
In total. And how many
Yes.
rooms did you ask for again?
I think it was 4, right?
In 4 rooms? So you're asking for 3 to 4 people per room.
Correct.
Very well. I want to charge you for 4 people per room, then.
Sure. Well, listen. Do we gotta do that, though?
Yes.
Like... Oh...
If you're not going to give me specific numbers, then you will have to bear with the consequences of how these work out.
I'm sorry,
I will
consequences.
I will gesture for Arliss to come over.
Wait. Can I persuade them just to let us to get the rooms, but not have to worry about that?
You can try.
Well, I'm gonna try. The money's not really the issue, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna use the knowledge of a past life.
Okay.
What I gotta roll? 6 is add on to that. Alright, in total that's a 17.
In total, that's a 17?
Yeah.
Very well. If you're saying about 14, then let's estimate you have roughly 12 people to make up for any discrepancies with your count. Therefore, you will have 3 people per bedroom. So I will charge you as per that. 3 people for 4 rooms. Agreed?
Nice. Agreed. Now what are we looking for here? I'm sorry, what price are we looking at?
Well, seeing as each room usually goes for roughly 2 to 3 gold, depending on number of tenants, and you are having 3 people per room, we are looking at a total of 6 gold per night.
6 gold per night. Excuse me for a second. I'm liking the sound of that, but let me just talk to my comrades to see how long we plan on staying.
Time is money, sir.
Everyone, how long do we plan on staying here?
Probably a few hours. We're looking for a boat.
If at most a full night. Nothing longer than that.
Alright. That works for me. I'll pay for 2 just in case we end up getting stuck here. Just in case.
Well, as I was thinking,
Yes.
don't you think with, our current predicament, we wouldn't want people to know how many people were here or world records?
Well, I mean, I didn't exactly give them our names.
Don't you think they might ask for that?
In my experience traveling, there are many groups of our size that come and go. You've got circuses and entertainment groups, dancers, adventurers, merchants, you name it. Names, we can fake names if necessary, but I don't think anyone's going to ask that many questions.
Well, if they do ask for our names, I have one in the back pocket for myself. What about you guys? Do you guys need any aliases or anything?
Kay makes a face and then shrugs. I have a few I can use.
Fair enough. Besides, we're only going to be here for the day, right? Just got to play smooth. We'll be okay.
We must lie low.
Okay, sure, I'll pay for 1 day. Or 1 night.
Very well. Yeah, we'll bring your bill up to 6 gold per night. Now, who am I writing this bill out to?
To Solaire, please.
Soler. Very well. Mr. Soler, do you have the payment in full?
I do. There you go.
Thank you very much. Here are your 4 keys. Please do enjoy your stay. If you run into any troubles, come talk to me. If you cause any damages, be aware that that will be added to your bill that you will have to recompensate us for at the end of your visit.
Understood.
As well as in the morning, there will be a complimentary breakfast with your stay, if you so choose to partake in it.
Ah, very nice. That sounds lovely.
Only the best.
I'll go back to our guy. See, that wasn't so bad.
I'll go look for a harbor master.
I guess I should go with them. They go look for a boat, I guess. We're gonna look for a boat. You guys get the.
Well, the reason why I say a harbor master is a harbor master would know which captains are available for like commandeering.
That was going to be my next question. Do any of us know how to pilot a ship?
Yeah, that's why I said harbor master, to find somebody whose ship is available.
We didn't think this through.
I thought that was the plan. That we
Plan
find someone
was
who
to
could take
ask
the boat
someone
over.
for passage on their boat. They
Yeah.
take you to a place for a pay, for an amount of money.
I want to walk down here.
You guys
Excuse
are
me.
Yes, sir.
Would either of you be able to direct me to the harbor master?
Harbor Master Dan? Yes, he should be in the building over there to the right. Would you like to buy any of my spices, sir? I also have fine fabrics over here on this boat. They're the loveliest spices, all exotic, from the far off land of Lala Malaxara.
What was the name?
Lala Malaxara. These are exclusive spices that they have over there. Please, take a look. I can give you a sample of one of them. However, you have to pay for a second one.
This guy
Wait,
reminds me of Tulio.
so you have to buy two, bare minimum, no matter what.
No. I said I can give you a sample, but you
You know
have to buy
Tulio from the Road to El Dorado.
the second one. I'm sorry, what is El Dorado?
El Dorado is the lost city of gold. Anyways,
Gold, you say? What was that you were saying? These my customers, shut up. Now, what was that about the city of gold?
scratch that. He sounds like King Julian.
Mort, get over here. No, I'm joking. What was that about gold?
Well, you see, I'm not exactly strapped for money.
Oh. So you're saying you come off from a very well place? No. A place where they'd be willing to buy spices. And the like?
I could technically send this guy to my dojo.
I also whispered to our guy, probably shouldn't let someone know that you're loaded.
I just go trust me. Watch this. Excuse me. I want to. How large would you say his ship is?
It can fit roughly like 2-3 people on a voyage comfortably.
Never mind.
You can see it right there. Like for a prolonged period of time, it can fit 2 to 3 people comfortably. Even though it's
what's
not
fine
really
with-
meant for long journeys.
What spices would you say you have?
Oh, I have all sorts of spices, my good sir. A moment. Why, as you can see, we have a bit of basil, the rare cinnamon, if you were looking for that. We even have some garlic and even the more intriguing nutmeg.
Didn't you just state that these were only found in Sarah?
Yes, of course.
We just found basil right outside of town.
Oh, unbelievable. You calling me a liar, sir?
Yes.
I'm calling you a trooper!
I cannot take this. Get out of my face. I have business to do.
I look at the other guy. Excuse me, are you an honest businessman?
Why, yes, of course I'm an honest businessman. How may I help you, sir?
I'd like to mention to you that this merchant is a liar.
Hey, buddy. Arlos, you hear
Yes?
somebody behind you?
We're going to get ran out of town. Oh my god.
Just sitting, like,
No.
on the corner of the stairs there. Just, like, right here.
Yes.
Don't trust anyone in this town. They're all lying to you.
Oh.
I mean, I had a feeling.
You can see he's very, like, dirty looking, kind of down in his luck. Clothes very raggedy. He has a left shoe, but not a right one.
Oh, Jesus Christ, can I give him 10 gold, please? The man needs it.
You could.
I'm gonna give him 10 gold pieces. Please, please go get yourself a shower and something to eat.
His eyes widen up as he looks at you, stuffs it in his jacket, or stuff it in his, what's left of his jacket as quickly as possible, looks around to make sure nobody's looking at him before getting up. It's like, we never talked.
Okay.
And he just walks away.
I just look and go, who are you?
None of your concern.
No, that was the joke. We never talked.
Gotcha.
It's always been 16.
You can see him quickly walking away. A slight limp in his step.
I look at the spice man. Excuse me.
Why, yes. Oh, it's you. What do you want?
Oh, let me look at my handy dandy inventory. I want to hand her 1 gold. We were never here.
I don't even know you. He turns around and just continues business with the other man.
Honey, you'll never believe it.
After
This
taking
weird
your gold.
turtle just gave me a single piece of gold and said he didn't know me. Not sure why he did that, but that's free money, I guess.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm concerned that at some point we're gonna have a situation where somebody's randomly going to ask people questions, and the genius over here is going to mention seeing a tortle and a re-dead right next to each other.
A re-dead?
We're so worried about us being robbed now because I just gave some random guy 10 gold I've never met the day before in my life, and you just gave that guy fucking money, and we pissed him off earlier.
You guys are flashing a lot of money in a very business-savvy town.
Well, I'm saying, I just wanted to help the poor lad get something to eat.
And
Some
excuse me, where did you say the harbor master was again?
That building over there, by the watermill.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
He points to this one,
I want
Which
to head over there.
which seems to be double-storied, has a first layer and a second.
Where would the door be at?
There would be one there, as well 1 or 2 at the bottom. One by the
I'll knock
stairs.
on the door.
It's open.
Oh. You said there was a door. Anyways, I'll walk in.
The door is unlocked. It's a business that they don't lock the doors. They expect people to come in.
I will walk in.
Yes, how may I help you? You see a gruff, older-looking man, kind of looking at different ledgers and maps. How may I help you?
Yes. Would you happen to be the harbor master?
Aye, that's me.
We're looking to procure a ship.
What kind?
What kind would you recommend that can hold 14 people comfortably for a long journey?
How many people?
14.
Where are you going?
I look at Arlos. What was it?
What was it, Drakavale or
Drakvir.
Drakvir? There we go.
Drakvir.
Aye.
Common destination. You're gonna need a larger boat. I can see if Ahab can take you. He seems free at the moment, but he's picky with who he takes on his boat.
How picky are we talking?
You'll see when you meet him. Talk to him. He's the old man, gray hair, peg leg. Hard to miss him.
Should we not
Please tell
ask
me-
about the peg leg?
Please tell me he's not looking for Leviathans.
No. He talks
Okay.
about the one that got away, but he never really elaborates on what exactly it was. Just ignore him.
He's not enemies with the whale, would he? Me?
Oh. After a
No.
while, I kind of stopped caring.
You know what? I respect that.
Kind of have to in this business. A lot of people come through here.
Where would you say he's at?
You got the larger tugboat, end of the bay. Kind of hard to miss him. Usually you can find him at the local tavern. Loves the entertainers there.
Enter
I see.
painters?
Yeah, dancers.
Ah, I see.
Drink, food, show, the whole pizzazz.
It-
I'm guessing you're all new in this town.
No, just never heard of the old sailor. I would don't try to cover that up.
Got it, you're new in this town.
God damn it!
Look, Ahab comes here a lot. Just keep your head low. Don't make too much noise. Don't flash your money. And please, keep an eye on your pockets. The tavern's over across the bridge. Can't miss it. Just head out the door, take a right. It's the big building on the corner. Can't miss it.
Thank you.
If you hit a farm, you've gone too far.
On. Okay. I guess we go check that out then. Side quest on Moby Dick. Oh no.
Shush!
We're going to the scariest place in any D&D campaign, the ocean.
What? Are
Look, all
paying-
I'm saying is if a giant white monstrosity in the water comes out of nowhere, I'm flying away.
Is it? I thought it was the
Oh,
large
the
one.
big building. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that got... It is the large one. Look at the
Oh, I
size of
guess it
this
is.
compared
Oh.
to the size of this.
Fair enough.
Alright. You head in, you see a wide, open building. A lot of noise going on. A lot of rowdy people eating food, drinking. You see a large stage near one end of it, and a corner off to the side, and a bar off to the side, that is large and heavily staffed. As many people are ordering drinks, ordering food, sitting at both at the bar and at multiple tables around, as a show is being performed by seemingly a few magicians.
What kind of magic are they doing?
Sleight of hand. Not
Okay.
like direct arcane magic, more just quick tricks of the mind, optical illusions, and the like. Very impressive for what they
I
are.
want to look around for Ahab.
Roll me a perception check.
Woo!
Alright, Urgai, you see many old humans, graying beards, big hats, eye patches, sunglasses, burnt skin, half of his face missing,
bored.
sitting at tables, sitting at the bar. You have no idea which one of these people is Ahab. Arlos, you spot one person with a peg leg, sitting alone at the bar, not talking to anyone. Hair seems to be graying as it's held down by a do-rag yet poking out the bottom.
Cool. Can I see what he's drinking?
Seems to be a pint. Can't see what's inside, but at the distance from the doorway, but you can tell he's drinking.
Is the seat next to him available?
Yeah.
You said it was one, right?
Not to
Right.
not to either side of him, just on his right. The two are available on his right.
I'm going to not sit directly next to him, but the seat next to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I will order 2 pints, one for me and one for him.
Hi. Can I help you?
I do believe you can, good sir. Word around here is that you know how to sail the seas.
Ain't no one finer. He takes the pint that you bought for him, starts downing it a bit.
So you like to drink as well?
Sorry?
I was gonna say I was wanting to sit down as well.
You sit down in between them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
So
just pull a
Arlos,
urinal move!
in the middle of this sentence that you're speaking to him, a Uragai sits in between the both of you.
I feel like I just got urinal moved, man. What the fuck? Right, so you seem to be enjoying yourself. I'll make it short and sweet.
Hey.
We need to get to a place called Dragvia. You know how to get there?
Of course I know how to get to Dragvir. Been there many times.
Was he trying to get my attention?
No.
Oh.
He's just looking at his drink. Just answering Arlos. Not looking at him, just answering. Arlos, you see this guy. He seems to be pretty inebriated. Droopy eyes, darker skin, pale beard coming down past the bar, peg leg constantly hitting against the stool that he's at.
So, I hear one got away.
He slams the pint down, looks up, takes a deep breath. Aye, it was quite the sight, I must say.
I lean back at Carlos. Should I have not asked that question?
Probably later.
Still looking for it to this day. But I swear, once I get my arms on them, I will gut it myself.
What exactly is it?
Oh, it's a large... Excuse me. Lost the voice.
Yeah.
The large one. Nothing like you ever seen before. Can take one bite out of your ship, drown your crew with it.
Is that what happened to the leg there?
No, I tripped.
I'm sorry, I wasn't exactly expecting that as your response.
Ah, I was the green hand. Fell off me boat. Got attacked by a dolphin. Those things are nasty. Shark held me to my boat. It was a lovely thing.
You know, they do be doing those little flips in the ocean, and they can be a little troublesome. I understand.
Aye, never trust a dolphin myself.
Noted.
So, do you think... Where was the last time you seen this creature?
Aye, it's been many a moons. Must have been at least 4 days ago.
That seems pretty frequent for many moons.
Sorry, I'm sorry, that was a joke. I couldn't help myself.
I seen him last Tuesday, actually.
I seen him yesterday, just 2 hours ago. I'm sorry.
Great.
The longer, okay, I need you to know the longer this accent goes on, I keep thinking of the pirate from SpongeBob. I can't unsee it.
Which one, Davy Jones or the other one?
The one in the painting in the theme song.
Oh,
Oh! Aye, it's been about a decade since I last seen him.
Do you remember the route you took to find him?
Of course. I can't forget it. It was me crowning voyage. First time took me ship out on the sea, open sea. Not sailing toward the destination, sailing for adventure. That's when I saw it. The big one. The one that got away. I will never forget the way it looked at my ship. With fear in its eyes. The coward ran from me. But I swear, I will get it. I will get it the next time I see it.
Huh. I like that. So, a man on a mission.
Aye.
Now,
yes. We did have a question aside from the story of your grand adventure.
Aye.
Is your ship for sale services wise?
What you looking for?
To take a group of people to Drexvere.
Aye. That's a simple ship. That's a simple ride. I'm sure anyone can do that for you.
We have a large number of people.
You got yourself a crew there, I see.
Yes.
How many folk we're talking about?
Roughly 14.
Ah, a sailor's dozen.
That's a thing.
that's the snow. That's a thing.
No, it's not. No, it's
Just that's a thing.
Aye,
Sailors does.
sailors. Aye, it's be a normal thing for us sailors.
I look around to see if any other sailors have heard him say that.
Everyone is ignoring him.
Oh, cool.
I fucking got.
How soon
So
you
you
need to be
think-
at Drakvir? And how
Also,
soon do
really,
you need
yeah.
me to prepare for this voyage?
Side note, I realized if Renase ever entered this town, he would have a gaggle of people following him.
Oh, very much so. Dude might even
need to
just
get
be
those.
mugged.
Oh no!
Anyways,
We need to get there as soon as possible.
soon as possible, eh? Well, I can have me ship in sailing state in about 3 days.
I want to hand,
Days?
Aye,
I want to hand him. I want to hand him 10 gold. Can you do it by tomorrow?
I can do it in 2 days with this.
I want to hand him. I want to hand him a total of 20 gold.
I can hand him
Tomorrow.
10. I can do this in 2 days.
Erica, I remember what the guy said about flashing money.
I'm trying to make sure we can leave as fast as possible.
I understand that, but sometimes
He
we
turns
kinda have
around
to
to
play
the
the game.
open tavern. Aye, who wants to join me, crew? Everyone flat out ignores him. I can do it in 3 days.
I will take 15 of it back.
Aye. Now,
What is everyone that helped you in order to speed up the process?
what is your experience with sailing vessels?
I mean, I built a dojo before.
I think that's what he was asking.
You built a dojo. The fuck is that going to help helping repair a ship?
Well, depending on the materials of the ship in the dojo.
Aye, I can see that. Very well. I can take you aboard.
Nice.
How many assistants do you have?
I'd say roughly about 10.
10 in your working crew.
One of them's a dragon. Or can turn into a dragon.
I think the less information we give him, the better.
Agreed.
You feel like no matter what you tell this guy, no one will believe him.
I noticed when you offered, well, you asked if anyone wanted to join your crew, no one wished to go aboard your ship.
Aye.
Any
I
reason
think
for
we
that?
lost me marbles. I think me brain be in Davy Jones' locker.
I'm sorry. I had to take that moment.
Davy Jones is now canon in the realm of Farris.
Aye. Always has been.
I lost me marbles.
I lost me marbles.
I lost me marbles.
Is it because of the one that got away?
Yar, eh?
Do you have any crew that survived said endeavors?
I got me right-hand man, Salty Bob.
There's no way his name is actually Salty Bob.
His name be Salty Bob.
There's no way his name is Salty Bob.
His name do be Salty Bob. Well,
I
it be
don't
Bob.
believe you.
It be Bob. But we call him Salty Bob.
Fucking
Next thing you know, there's just Bob the chicken on his boat with an eye patch.
It's not. Aye, he used to be a marshal, he did. Good lad.
Good lad. Where can we find him now?
He be on me ship, swabbing the deck.
Oh,
At least,
So
that's
that-
what me thinks.
that's very fair. You can't really keep
So
tabs
you're
on
not-
someone if they're here.
So, may I ask why you're here and not at your ship?
Aye, I like the view. You turn around and you can see the stage being swapped out for from the magicians to a dancing crew made up of multiple women, pretty scantily clad, each with different animal ears. A couple with dogs, a few with bunnies, with matching tails as well, and one center cat girl.
I knew I bought the pint for the right guy.
Arr.
Wait, out of curiosity, do we happen to recognize the cat?
Nope.
No, alright, just making sure. It'd be a really weird coincidence, but I thought I'd ask.
No, it's not Zafira.
Okay, I thought I'd ask anyways.
No, it's not. It's not a tabaxi. It's a human with cat ears.
Okay, I understand now.
They're all human, or human adjacent. They just have like, from this distance, as far as from the stages you can be, you can't tell if they're real or fake animal ears and tails.
So it's just a whole bunch of Mordreds dancing on stage with different alt costumes.
Sure, yeah. It's a bunch of different Mordreds. Alinas.
Yeah, lovely. There you go.
Aye, me favorite to be the one on the left. Bunny number 3, me calls her.
Funny number 3. Alina
Aye.
sneezes.
Me forgets her name.
You know, usually in a drunken state, it happens.
Aye, 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 aye. Eh,
But yes, back to the matters at hand. We do need a large vessel in order to make that journey.
aye. Me ship can do it. They take 2 or 3 days, depending on the crew you have. Eh?
Hey, aye, okay. So
I
we're gonna have to
know
earn
you're-
our.
I know it's not intentional, but I keep hearing you go between pirate and Palpatine.
Wait. I'm trying.
You're all good. I kept hearing it, so I wanted to say it.
This is so good. This is so good.
So you were saying,
Who knows? If we go on this journey, perhaps you might get your chance in order to catch the big one, if you will.
aye, it's a little out of the way, but if you don't mind, we can make a slight detour to see if we can spot her. Aye? Eh? Ah?
I mean, it is your boat.
Excellent!
Is he gonna go through all the vowel sounds?
Ooh. Oh! Eh. Ah.
Learn your ABCs with pirates.
A, B, C, the C,
Nah.
D, E, G, B,
What's a pirate's favorite letter? R.
the C. No, it's B, the C.
Oh, you are enlightened.
Aw.
A pirate's true love be the sea.
Damn, I like this guy. Holy shit.
Alright, so you have our vessel ready in how many days?
3, 2, depending on the help I get from ye crew.
Very well. I shall arrange for us to meet you there
Aye,
at the given time.
the journey will take us 5 days. Well, it might take us 6. I might take 1 or 2 to see if we can spot the one that got away.
You know,
We're in a bit of a hurry.
Okay, 5.5 days. With a small detour. Aye,
Can we skip the detour, please?
No, we gotta find Moby Dick.
he just wants to prove he isn't crazy.
I know, but we have a place we have to be.
You know, I'd like to say that what could one day, turn into, but given our current circumstances and what happened at the inn, one day could be a whole lot. You might be right. I can't just see him just throw his dreams away like that.
it's been
seems
the
like-
adventure of a lifetime. Me guarantees it, eh?
Oh man, we are adventurers, We'll discuss it later.
Aye.
But for now, you enjoy your drink, old man. Let's get back to the crew.
Aye. As you turn away from him, you hear up on the stage, an announcer, as the dance crew is finishing up, you hear an announcer mention, and that was Diana and her lovely animals. Now, please put your hands together for the next performance. As the next act gets up on stage.
Do we dare turn around and look? We look. Who was it? Who is it?
It's Mara. And Wendy.
I'm sorry, who?
Mara and Wendy. You see a large Minotaur woman with her human girlfriend with red pigtails.
Who?
The
Don't we
blacksmith
know
from
them from the
Carol.
fest? Oh, we need to go. I look at him. We need to go right now.
Do we know them?
Yep. Yep, they were from the city we got arrested in. We need to leave right now. I
Oh,
whispered this to
okay,
him.
yeah. I also put his hood up.
I just look over him and quickly say, "We'll see you in a few days," and then we leave.
Here, take this for buddy girl number 3. I'm out. We flee. I'll give him
I
like
did it for
5
Diana,
silver.
bro. She's my love and soul.
Whatever floats your boat as we're leaving.
I'll give him enough for another pint and some for bunny girl number 3 for like a show or something. We gotta run.
Hey, yo.
Hey man, he's doing us a solid.
That's not that kind of establishment, but sure. She might do some extra for about some money.
Yeah.
I want to take over to the others. A slight problem. There are people here who know us.
Who?
The Minotaur and the girlfriend.
Oh. Oh. That from that town. Oh.
So, small problem.
Look, all we have to do is keep our heads down and lay low. So, did you talk to anyone about a ship?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's gonna take a
You'll
couple days.
understand when you get to meet him.
Yeah, if they see you guys, I wasn't here.
Well,
To be
okay,
fair, he seems like a stand-up guy.
Okay, well, how long is it gonna take?
3 days? Arlo's still pointing his two index fingers together.
In all honesty, I'm the one who has the. In all honesty, I'm the one who has the least chance to get recognized by the two of them.
Yeah, 3 days if we don't help him prepare the ship. 2 days, maybe, if all of us help.
With the current circumstances, we might want to leave as soon as possible.
I'm the idiot that let Mara's sword get so badly damaged.
Elena, it'll be fine. Just lay low. Okay. Sammy,
Yes.
can I roll to see if Kay has knowledge of helping to fix boats? Because he's traveled a lot.
Same with our guy.
Does anyone have proficiency in vehicles C?
That is not me.
I do not.
Where would we see that?
Proficiencies in tools.
No.
I haven't.
You have it?
Out
No.
of everyone.
No, of course I'm lying.
I was gonna say, hold on a
I'd
second.
be like,
Just about
I'm gaslighting everyone with stupid small things, because every time.
Alright, then roll me a history check. You know a thing or two about ships.
nice.
More so airships, but you're sure they can apply to boats.
If not, we'll find a way.
Yep.
Life finds a way.
Life
Yeah.
finds a way.
Life really does find a way. Holy shit.
Find a way. Urgai, you also believe that your carpentry expertise can help in this situation.
Me being a knight in a past life has nothing to do with sailing ships. Oh, Jesus.
Alina, you notice somebody come out of the place that Arlos and Urgai came out of? Wearing definitely a big hood, kind of keeping out of people's ways, kind of sliding in between people as they walk by. Excuse me. me. Excuse. I'm sorry. Do you mind if I? She bumps into you. Oh, excuse me, Isaac. She bumps into you as by accident, as she falls back and her hood kind of flaps down, revealing a young dark tan skin or sun-kissed skin woman with two prominent cat ears on her head. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Bump into you. That's entirely my fault.
Wait, who did she bump into?
Alina.
Oh.
Alina.
It's all right.
As you look at this woman, you roll me a history check with advantage. With advantage. Alright, you recognize this person. You know this person. You remember playing with this person. She's your best friend.
No way she has that name.
And with that, that's where we're gonna call it for the night. As Alina runs into her childhood friend, Diana.
Dirty Diana, she's back.
Also,
Oh no!
Arlos and Urgai, you recognize this person too. Being
And a tear runs down her cheek in response.
Yep. And you recognize this woman as well as being Diana from
girl.
Diana and Her Lovely Animals.
Our guy's doing his best not to chuckle.
Shush. Just let her take care of Buddy Girl number 3 for a while. Yeah.
No.
Thank you very much. Why did I just see a nut come up on your screen, Mordred?
Not.
Nut.
Mhm.
Thanks, Mikey. I really appreciate that. Oh, there we go. There, now I heard it.
Can you do it one more time for me?
No, please.
Thank you.
God damn it, Mordred.
Yeah, triple nut action, baby. Let's go.
Okay. Thank you everyone so much for coming to this session of Adventures in Farris. This was a fun one. I just have to say, this was a fun one.
Yeah.
But I just have to say, thank you for showing up. Who the fuck are these people, though? You went first last time, don't you?
KiryuMakotoVT. I played Arlos the Hexblade Warlock.
Sorry, misclicked.
And Alina misclicked.
Skill issue.
Alright, I'm going to popcorn to the good old Mikey.
Gee, thanks, Crow.
Come, Pippin. Have fun.
Everyone, Cosmos, Cooper, AK, Karen. I played K. I almost said chicken again.
Again?
The 5Gs are real
We
tonight.
still didn't call him a chicken.
No,
No,
Deep
someone
rooted.
did.
her guy
Wait,
did.
what? Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
The rotisserie-sized Arakakra.
Jesus Christ.
You mean that? Never mind.
There's some implications here.
Doc, go.
Okay.
he had to pass.
I am a Doc, who played the best kobold, aside from my wife, and child, and child, and child, and child, and child.
You got them.
And bro. Don't forget the bro.
Timmy!
Timmy!
I'm still on break, so if you want to see me, go watch my YouTube content. We got a draft video coming out this Sunday about giant robots. Mechs and whatnot.
I hope Mega XLR is in there.
I
That
don't know.
show is goated.
I don't know.
You do know. I don't, because I wasn't in this one.
It's true, Sam wasn't in it, yet he was this time.
I was. I cannot state
Sure.
it. I cannot confirm nor deny Sam's statement.
I honestly, I don't remember.
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Then you go, introduce yourself, or introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
I am the Manatee. I am a variety VTuber. I don't know when the next time I am streaming is. I keep playing on streaming and then not doing it. I need to stop doing that.
That's me every day.
No. Just like me, for real, for real.
Yeah, but I do intend to stream this week, considering everything that's going on in my life, which I cannot talk about.
Yet he's under NDA for murdering 5 civilians
Shh, you're not supposed to say it, Doc.
with a trowel.
Damn.
Who has gone?
Everyone except Mordred. And me.
Alright, eeny, meeny, miny, Mordred.
You push.
Hey, he's
I'm
just chilling.
Mordred. I play Alina, who has had some emotional flashbacks and reunited with someone she never thought she'd see again. I'll try and stream sometime this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I am Sammy, your GM and amazing VTubing cat girl for the win. Yeah. Now, there's one last thing we should do. Thank you for coming to Adventures in Farris. Let's raid the fuck out. Who we raiding?
I picked last time, so it's up to everybody else.
Let me check.
Alright.
I'll let one of the others pick today. I don't feel like looking.
Evie's streaming. Kentron's streaming.
You could do Evie.
Oh, hey, Sam is live.
Whoa, really?
I made that joke last
I
time.
love her. She's great. Let's go raid her.
But my friend Kia's steep.
Kia
Ah.
Steve?
Wouldn't that be an infinite raid?
Maybe?
Infinite rate, infinite viewers.
Is that possible? I don't think that's possible.
I don't think you can rate yourself.
That'd
Yeah, I
be an
don't think you
oversight
can.
if it was.
Now I'm actually curious. Next time I stream, I'll.
It probably isn't a thing. It probably isn't a thing just because, like, if it was gonna be a thing, it would have been when they introduced rating.
I cannot raid my own channel. I tried.
Damn it.
I checked.
Well, the knowledge is there now, at least.
Alright. Looks like they're playing Farlight 84. So yeah. Let's raid into Kirsty. And let's wish them a good raid. Speaking of,
And she has a cute model.
Yeah, it looks cute. But remember, we do have a pair of raid messages. The first one is for followers, and the second one, if you are so inclined, is for subscribers. If you really want, you can copy and paste both. If you want to be a real one, just saying. Just saying. I'm not gonna judge you if you don't, but, I mean... I'll like you if you do. So yeah, get ready for the raid. Thank you everyone for showing up. Please make sure you take care of yourselves, treat yourselves with kindness, and make sure you are loved. Because we love you. Now go. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, so long. I can't remember the rest of that
So
song.
long.
Arriba, say
farewell,
goodbye.
Goodbye.
I said the wrong word. Well, goodbye,
Auf
fuckers!
Wiedersehen.
Don't forget to tip.